we got permission later on to drive down to the new territories. But as we entered the checkpoint, if you have to drive, it's a long drive, a couple thousand kilometers. And you get down to Rostov-on-Don, and then you make a right, and you're heading to Donetsk. And there's a checkpoint. And we get to the checkpoint, checkmate. The Russian Ministry of Defense said, "Nah, you ain't going in. You don't get to go in." And we're like, okay. But we had plan B. And plan B was we're going to the Crimea. Now, they tried to checkmate on that one. The head of the, I'm not going to get into interior politics there, but somebody told us that we can't go into Crimea, but we got permission from Crimea to go into Crimea. So we went across the Crimea Bridge and got in there. And then we did the second thing. I got an interview with the head of the Crimea Republic. A big deal. Again, need 2 weeks advance notice? Nope. Sat down, substantive discussion where we talked about the new territories. We talked about Crimea. We talked about everything. It was captured on film, broadcast on TV. I did an interview in a major Crimean news network where I talked about my desire to go to the new territories and how important it was for me to see the new territories. And next thing you know, we got the green light. So we went in. We drove in. It's a war zone. It's clear it's a war zone. We had bodyguards. The Ukrainians are out to kill me. I'm not exaggerating this. They really do want to bring me harm. And that's why they didn't want me to go to the new territories. They're like, we sort of like you alive. We don't want you to dead. But I got there. I got to meet the governor of Kherson, have a substantive dialogue with him about not just the conflict. That's a military thing, about Kherson and the future of Kherson, and how in the midst of this war, they're actually focused on rebuilding the territories, about bringing up the quality of life for the people who live in Kherson today, about the investments that are coming in. The number one plant they have right now is a concrete production plant, and they're building multiple lines. Why? Because they need to pour a lot of concrete to rebuild this place, to bring it up to standards. The roads have been redone. The roads in the new territories are very modern, very smooth. A lot of military transportation taking place. We went from Kherson to Zaporizhia. Got to see, Melitopol, the city that the Ukrainians said they were going to capture to sever the land bridge. They ain't going to break it. And then on to Mariupol, and that was quite the experience. Mariupol's in Donetsk, People's Republic. The siege of Mariupol, the fight with Azov Brigade. This was literally a Nazi bastion, a center of power, and they fought hard, and the city was destroyed, nearly leveled. But when you drive into Mariupol from the south, all you see is new construction, giant apartment blocks, put up a giant gleaming hospital, all up and running. Everything's going great, and they're building. And you see they're repairing the buildings that can be repaired, but so many of the buildings can't be repaired. They've been gutted and destroyed, and there's so much left to be done, which is why the concrete manufacturing plants are so important, because to do all this, you need to pour concrete. And the Russians are thinking about the future. The Russians are thinking about rebuilding. So, it isn't just building military factories. It isn't just building military infrastructure. They're building civilian infrastructure to make life better for the citizens of Donetsk. When you see Azovstal and the ruins of it, you understand the ferocity of the fighting and the price that everybody paid to do this. Then it's on to Donetsk. One thing that I can say about Donetsk is, again, I had 5 military units that I wanted to visit, and we actually had made preparations. We had the connectivity, and I was going to get as close as I could to what they call the red line. The line of contact. I wasn't going to the front lines. Don't worry, I'm not a war tourist. But I wanted to meet these soldiers and talk to them and get a feel for the battle firsthand. They weren't going to let me anywhere near the red line. So only one of those meetings took place, and that was because they brought the person to me as opposed to letting me get there. Plus, they wanted me to get the hell out of there. The Ukrainians are tracking everything. If my phone had to be off and in a Faraday cage, so that they couldn't track me. They know my phone number. You don't stay in a hotel. I don't stay in a hotel in Donetsk. I stayed in a safe house, and you didn't know the safe house until the last minute. And then you'd show up there, and everything's on the clock. Anytime you do something, you're on the clock, you're timing it, and you're displacing because you can't stay in the same place for any length of time, because if they did get a track on you, a HIMARS comes in and is going to kill you. So we're moving and moving. The meeting with Denis Pushilin was the same thing. He's the head of the Donetsk People's Republic. He wanted to meet. But to meet, we were driving through Donetsk, getting a phone call, go here, get a phone call, go there. And eventually we end up in a place where we can meet. But while we're meeting, we're on the clock. And at some point in time, their guys come and go, meeting's over, everybody's gone out of there. That's the reality of life in Donetsk. It's a city under attack. As we speak, the Ukrainians are shelling it. They're not killing military guys, they're slaughtering civilians. You can read about the sound of artillery fire. But when you wake up in the morning in Donetsk and you hear it, and it's loud and it's close, and the people are going, that's ours, that's theirs. And as you drive through, you see the mother taking her child to school or taking her to wherever they're going, and the artillery fire, and they're not flinching. They're not flinching. Why? Because it's part of their daily reality. This is what you had to see. But you also have to meet these people and look in their eyes and feel the grip of their hand to realize these are Russians. I know everybody's like, oh, these are occupied territories and they want to. The people that live there are Russians, and they will forever be Russian, and they only want to be Russian. Their only regret is it took Putin 8 years too long to make the decision to go in. They wanted him to come in 2014. Too many people have died in their point of view, but they are all Russian. And that's the importance of seeing this, of going through there, is to come up with the realization that, you know, anybody who thinks that somehow Ukraine will be able to take these territories back over is wrong. These are Russian territories populated by Russian people. And I can speak about this with very firm conviction today because I went to the new territories, because I saw it firsthand, because I experienced it for myself. So I'm eternally grateful for everybody in Russia who made this possible, even the people I might have pissed off. I apologize for pissing you off, but it was very important for me to see this, and I thank them all for allowing it to happen.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, it seems like the trip of a lifetime, but hopefully there are more visits coming up, because I think it's important work to operate as a real ambassador of peace with Russia. I mean, there are few things that are of more importance right now with regard to the world situation. And perhaps before we go, Scott, if you could just maybe in a minute or 5 minutes, just describe what you learned from the Russian people in New Russia, and about the conflict itself. We talk a lot about how, Russia is in the driver's seat, Ukraine has lost. How did you experience that? Was that something that you experienced when you were on this trip in the new Russian territories?
You know, one of the reasons why I wanted to go to the new territories is that I was, like I said, I was criticized, attacked, or whatever for being overly optimistic. People are like, Scott, you're making these predictions, but on the ground here in Donetsk, it's much worse than you think it is. Da 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 da. And so I wanted to, go there myself and see it. It's bad. It's really bad. It's a war, and it's a war that's taken a huge toll on Russia. The idea that Russia, is that this is a cakewalk is absurd. I've never said it was a cakewalk, but to talk with these soldiers and understand the price that they've paid and the price that they are paying to bring this conflict to an end. The Russians have paid and are paying a horrible price. I talked to a unit fighting the battle, and I'll try to say this right. It's the Battle of Avdiivka. I'm pretty sure I butchered that too, but it's the big battle taking place near the city of Donetsk right now. Heavily fortified place, just fighting positions everywhere. In October, they launched an attack that started the breakthrough. 3,000 dead. 3,000 dead. And I'm like, wow, you guys got your asses kicked. He's like, no. We killed 20,000 of them. And that's the fact, is that, the kill ratio back then was 7-1. Today, same guy saying it's 20-1 now. For every one of our guys that dead, we're killing 20 of them. It's an absolute massacre. Doesn't mean that they're still not taking casualties. Of course they are. The Ukrainians are putting up a hell of a fight. But I don't see panic. I don't see concern. I don't see anything other than steely-eyed determination to get this job done. And what does it mean, get the job done? Because there was a while there where people were saying, and you still hear it in the West, this is a stalemate. We're fighting to a standstill. This is going to be the new Korea. No, not from the Russian perspective. Every governor I met, and I met 4, said the same thing. This ends not only with all of the territories of the 4 new territories, under Russian control. That means all of Kherson, including the right bank, all of Zaporizhia, all of Donetsk, all of Lugansk. But it's probably going to end with, every single one of them said Odessa will be Russia. It's just going to happen. It can't. They've threatened the security of Crimea. Russia can never allow Ukraine to control that. If you take Odessa, you got to take Mykolaiv. If you take Mykolaiv, you got to take Dnipropetrovsk, and you got to take Kharkov. And they're all saying, yep. So Ukraine's going to lose at a minimum 4 additional territories before this is done. But even then, they're just like, no, we're not going to let Ukraine will no longer exist. This is the reality. Ukraine has created a monster. And that monster is a Russia united in the desire to achieve victory over this Nazi regime in Kiev. This is Zelensky regime that's controlled by Banderists, and there's no debate about it. Zelensky now, everywhere he goes and he poses, there's a Ukrainian flag, and then there's the red and black flag of the right sector of Azov, of the Nazis. This is a Nazi regime. It will cease to exist. The head of the Russian intelligence service the other day, just yesterday, said, yeah, when this ends, Ukraine will no longer exist. They have basically condemned themselves to non-existence. The Ukrainian state, as you know it today, will not exist. This is everybody saying that. This is their mindset. This is their determination. So this Western propaganda about the Russians looking for peace and a negotiated settlement and all this stuff, that ain't reflected in the reality on the ground. The reality on the ground is that everybody is committed to this path to victory. But the important thing to realize is that the victory for them isn't defined by destruction. Victory for them is defined by redemption and resurrection. Again, the Chechen miracle. It wasn't about destroying Grozny that gave the Russians victory in Chechnya. It was about the rebirth of Grozny that gave the Chechens and the Russians victory together. And what I was left with was a deep appreciation for the commitment of the Russian people and their leadership to bring this conflict to an end in a way that will allow Russians and Ukrainians to peacefully coexist as Russians and Chechens do today.
Well, Scott, I know you need to get some rest. So I say we maybe close up now. I think that's everything that you said about your trip. We'll definitely have to reconnect about it in the future, because I know that you probably have many more things to say about it. Even what you said about the Russians being scared for you, not wanting to put you in harm's way. When I wanted to actually go back to China during the Belt and Road Forum, and the handlers that took me to China this last time were scared for me to go to China, because they were like, well, the U.S. hates the Belt and Road Initiative, so we don't want to get you in trouble. I'm just like, what? No, don't think about that. I don't want, don't think about me getting in trouble. I want to go. But nonetheless, I think that that sentiment is not just beautiful, but also everything you were able to do is really, it probably will shock many who hear this, but at the same time, it's so important to meet Kadyrov and to go across the new Russian territories. What an experience, and we'll have to talk more about it, Scott. But where can people support you? I know this is part of the Waging Peace campaign, so I'm actually going to put that in the description now, or I'll put Scott Ritter Extra in the description now, and then talk about that, because I know this, and then we can head out of here.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that grew out of the May visit is that I'm going to try and capture the experience of Russia in two forms. One is a documentary film. The title is Waging Peace, and then an accompanying book similarly entitled. And again, the idea is to find a vehicle to capture this experience that best allows me to communicate it to a broader audience. And so it's the Waging Peace Project, and people can support it a number of ways, and they can support the ongoing work. It's a lot of work. You know this, Danny. And it doesn't happen by itself. It just takes time, it takes effort, and it takes money. If you go to scottritterextra.com, it's a website, and it's a one-stop shop. Doesn't cost you anything. There's no paywall. All my articles are published there. All my podcasts are put there. But I have a Substack, and people who want to support, you can subscribe for free. I've made it a policy not to put anything behind a paywall at this juncture, because the goal here is to make Maverick bark on cue.
Maverick saw Kadarov's wolf, I think.
Yeah, Maverick's like, wait a minute, I'm a wolf. Why aren't you feeding me like Kadyrov fed his white wolf? But no, the thing is, you can subscribe to the Substack channel. There's a monthly subscription, an annual subscription, and believe me, every subscription helps, because it allows this to happen, allows the sustainment of this. So that can do it. And you can also donate to the Waging Peace Project. We are making good progress. I guess I can say it. We had a strategic decision to make about the movie. Do we make a documentary that goes into theaters? You might be remembered that I made a documentary film, In Shifting Sands, about the lead up to the Iraq War and weapons of mass destruction. Very good film. But we built that, we designed that, produced it to be a film that was released in theaters. But when you think about it, there's a lot of effort. It's cool. I mean, I understand. I learned a lot about documentary films and documentary film festivals, etc. But at the end of the day, you're going through a whole bunch of effort to get a few thousand people to be able to see this movie. Today, with the way the internet works, I think we're going to build a internet-based movie, different production. It's still going to be high quality, but it's going to be focused on being shown online as opposed to in theater, and then millions of people can see the film. So, we made that decision. We've got a whole bunch of material that we're using. We've got some great people supporting, and so we're going to be starting to make really good progress on the film and on the book. But again, none of it happens for free, unfortunately, in this day and age. So if people want to help with that project, you can go and you can donate through the wagingpeace.fund tab on the scottritterextra.com.
Great. Yes. ScottRitterExtra.com is now in the video description, so you can all head there. Also in the video description are all the places you can support this channel: Patreon, Substack, PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, and more. Thank you to everyone viewing.
Can I just say this? What I just said about my need for funding, Danny has that same need, and everybody who does this right now, the revolution in information warfare, I guess, is what we have to call it, is real. But it only, we're going up against mainstream media outlets that are heavily funded by deep pockets, billions of dollars, and we're kicking their ass. Danny Dhaiphong's kicking their ass. I'd like to believe that on occasion I kick their ass too, and we do it, pennies to their dollars. But we need those pennies, and so fund the revolution, people. That's what this is. This is a revolution in information, how societies gain access to information. And what Danny's doing is invaluable. So support Danny Dhaiphong. I do, and you should too.
Thank you for tuning in to my latest video. I appreciate all of your support. This channel, however, needs your help. I am seeking to make this channel more sustainable in the long term and upgrade necessary equipment to ensure that this work continues onward and makes progress to give you all of the geopolitical analysis that you all deserve. For that reason, I'm asking you to become a member of my Patreon community at patreon.com/DannyDhaiphong. You can find that link in the video description or in the pinned comment below. For whatever amount you choose to give, just know you are supporting independent media that you can't find anywhere else. Thank you so much, and I look forward to the next video.